Be loud, be emotional, put the pressure on. Let them know that if Kyle Tucker walks, it is an unforgivable sin. If this Pope is going to be effective, his first papal decree must be for Tom Ricketts to sign Kyle Tucker. Like, that's how serious this needs to be.
Jeff Passan from ESPN. And, Jeff, before we start with hardcore baseball, you and I were texting about Jesse Rogers being in Rome. I don't know if you know the full story, but he was there this morning when the first, it was the black smoke that came out, and he gave up, and he got on a train to Florence. And just a few hours later, the Pope was announced, and it was the Cardinal from Chicago, and he totally dropped the ball on breaking the story or booking the Pope for us. What are your thoughts?
I'm embarrassed for him. Jesse left a perfect game in the 8th inning because he wanted to beat traffic. It's honestly, it's embarrassing. And on the other hand, I'm glad it happened because he will never live this down, and I will, as a dutiful friend would, remind him of his transgression for the rest of his life. So I'm looking forward to that part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if he did break the story, he would probably be unbearable, wouldn't he?
I mean, that presupposes that he isn't already.
That's a good point. It's a good point. So aside from the Pope and giving Jesse hell, it has been a very enjoyable and prosperous ride early in the season for this Cubs team. Just kind of summarize what you've seen and where you think they're headed.
It's just fun. Like, this is a fun team to watch. They score runs in bunches. They pitch well enough to win games. They can field the ball. They can run. They hit for power. Like, it's just a really well-rounded team that is going to go as far as the duct tape that's holding its pitching staff together will last. And that, like, I can absolutely foresee a scenario where the Cubs hitters get hot, stay hot during October, and it becomes a magical month. And I can absolutely foresee a scenario in which they just don't hit for a series and it all falls apart. So it's going to be interesting to see what this regular season winds up looking like, guys, because it's going to determine ultimately whether they get that first round bye and whether they can avoid a division or a wild card series where, you know, it's no fun if you're in there and you can get knocked out in 3 games.
Yeah, like I totally agree with what you say because as a Cubs fan, I look at them and look at their roster and their starting pitching right now and the bullpen, and I say, this is a good team, maybe very good. I don't know if they're great, but at times they have played great against a really hard schedule. So my question for you is, knowing that they've got issues in the starting rotation, and we'll get to the bullpen in a minute, and they also have a gaping hole at third, what is more likely for them to fix before the trade deadline?
Oh, 100% the pitching. I mean, they're going to be in on every pitcher imaginable to try and get this thing together. And losing Justin Steele sucks. Like, it really does. Because beyond the fact that he's good, he was reliable, and he was a guy that you could count on to give you 5-6 innings every start. And not having that there, and right now, you know, for the time being, for the next month or so, not having Shota Imanaga makes those needs look even more acute. You know, the Chicago Cubs could very easily be the Baltimore Orioles right now, a team that was built around its lineup, and you just hope that they had enough pitching. But I got to give the Cubs pitchers credit, guys. Mm-hmm. Like, the starters especially, they've been good enough, right? They haven't been good. They've just been good enough. And when you have an offense that's scoring nearly 6 runs per game, all you need is good enough. Like, that is plenty for this team at this point. And what they've been doing, like, especially over the last couple of weeks, they're just not allowing home runs. They have the second lowest home run rate allowed in the big leagues over the last 2 weeks. And I'll tell you, when you keep the ball in the ballpark in modern baseball, it solves a lot of woes. And it's odd that they're doing this because they also have a very high fly ball rate. So those two things, high fly ball rate, low home run rate, normally don't go hand in hand. And there's going to be some regression here, ultimately, that it's going to anger Cubs fans. You're going to see balls flying out that haven't been. It's just a reality of this situation. And I'm sorry for that crunching can, but that's my dog, who is now walking on me.
Oh, while you're driving?
No, I have parked, thankfully. But no, she has now sat in my lap. Hello, baby. Hello, baby girl. So there will not be any can crunching anymore.
That's going to be a drop on our show. The sound of Jeff Passan saying, hello, baby girl. Just out of the blue, just out of context and in certain situations. We're just going to drop that, and it's going to make me laugh.
She is now chewing on my door.
Oh, boy.
God, this dog is going to end me, guys. Like, when you see me at the trade deadline looking 10 years older than I do right now, you're going to be able to say that's Daisy's fault.
So Daisy is a puppy too, correct?
Yeah, Daisy is 4 months old.
Wow. So is this something that you caved and you were against? Were you for? What went into acquiring Daisy on the trade market?
This is entirely my fault. And something that I've regretted more or less every day since. We have an 8-year-old golden doodle named Ginger, and she is the most wonderful creature God has ever put on this earth. Thoughtful, kind, sensitive. She reads the moods in the house and knows when people need love. She knows when to back away. She blends into her chair, and sometimes you don't even notice that she's around. But she's 8 now, right? And we're like, if we're ever going to get a puppy who she's going to teach to be a kind, sensitive, good dog, now is the time. That was a terrible idea. Because Daisy looks at Ginger and she's like, I don't care how nice you are. Yeah. I'm not going to be like you. I'm going to go and cause havoc. If I see a person who I've never seen before, I will bite them. And I will have no thoughts about doing so. And if they get angry at me biting them, guess what? I'll bite them again. So my poor wife just has like an armful. Even my wife, this is not just a stranger. Even my wife has like an armful of pock marks, and just from this devil creature's teeth. And we spent a lot of time like thinking of a name for her and settled on Daisy.
Satan wasn't one.
No, it turns out that we picked the perfect name, because what does Daisy rhyme with?
Lazy.
Crazy.
Crazy, okay. Both
yes. Lazy, too. I wish you were lazy. I would love a lazy.
At least the kids will help out, right?
The younger one, who I'm picking up from school now, absolutely does help out a lot. The older one, like junior year in high school, I don't know if people realize this, junior year in high school is terrible. Yeah. And so he's a junior right now, and this will shock you, but he's a very self-centered person.
Sounds like his life is going great, yeah.
You were sitting at the blackjack table with it, and you split threes. You had the perfect dog and the perfect setup, and you decided since you wanted to pressure him out.
I've thought about this a lot, and there were times where I would just be sitting around and say to myself, I have a great life, and I do still in many ways, but this dog has certainly chipped away at that. She's being so sweet right now, though, and that's the
good.
problem.
Okay,
like,
yeah, she senses it.
I love her, and I want I want to like her. We're just not there at this point.
Talking to Jeff Passan on the Yingling guest hotline, Waddle and Silvy on ESPN 1000. You know what? One of the many things I like about you, Jeff, is you understand fans. It's not just about, here are the facts, deal with it. You understand how fan bases react. You were a passionate Cleveland fan growing up. You're now a passionate Chiefs fan, as you've lived in Kansas City forever. So I want to ask you, Carmen DeFalco, who you've talked to many times, is a Sox fan. I'm a Cubs fan. He has told me that I got to calm down about my tweeting, about my being outward on the Cubs having to and needing to sign Kyle Tucker. And I'm like, no, we got to, and with Big Cat, we've talked about this, we got to keep the pressure on. How should fans approach this? Is it enjoy the ride type of thing, or is it always whenever Tucker does something, you should be thinking about, are they going to get their crap together and sign him for the long term?
Be loud, be emotional, put the pressure on. Let them know that if Kyle Tucker walks, it is an unforgivable sin. If this Pope is going to be effective, his first papal decree must be for Tom Ricketts to sign Kyle Tucker. Like, that's how serious this needs to be, because he changes things, guys, and you've seen it. Even over the last couple of weeks when he hasn't been hitting all that great, just the presence he has in that lineup, the quality of at-bats that he takes. You know, anybody who has power and walks 15% of the time and strikes out 10, he is going to have a discernible effect on your lineup. And I think if you guys have any of the other Cubs players on the show this year and you ask them what Kyle Tucker means to the lineup, they'll be able to explain it better than I can, because it is everything from the fear that pitchers have of him and the effect that has on how they approach other guys in the lineup, to just seeing what one of the best baseball players in the world looks like up close every day, learning from him how to work, understanding his philosophy at the plate. There are just so many downstream effects of having a player of his caliber on this team that you cannot let him go.
Forgive me for asking Pope Leo to first lay hands on our quarterback and bless him before he gets to this contract extension.
Yeah, I'll accept that.
Let's get our priorities in order. Jeff, what does that contract look like if you were projecting out, and if you had to bet a large sum of your own money, does Tom Ricketts get that deal done eventually?
I wrote about this on ESPN.com earlier in the week, free for everyone to go and read if you so desire. I think Kyle Tucker is going to nestle somewhere in between $400 and $500 million. At the end of the day, I think he probably gets to the 5, just because somebody is going to say, we need to win this player. We want this player. Is that going to be Tom Ricketts? I don't know, guys. I mean, I wish for everyone who's listening and who roots for the Cubs' sake, the answer was an unequivocal yes. I wish for your sake that Tom Ricketts operated more like Steve Cohen does, or more like Mark Walter with the Dodgers does, or more like even Ken Kendrick with the Diamondbacks, who, 2 straight off seasons with Jordan Montgomery and this year with Corbin Burns, really went out and got the player. I don't know if Tom Ricketts has that in him. He hasn't shown the willingness to do that. The Cubs' largest contract, guys, is what?
185?
Yeah. Guys, I warned you about this beforehand.
I think the dog took over there.
It's okay, Daisy. That's fine.
The dog 100% hits the touch screen in the car
and muted you.
Paused the call.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's awesome.
No, I think it was Tom. I think it was Tom Ricketts. He didn't want to have this conversation any longer.
So, Jeff, I want to ask you. I want to build on this. So, if you're Tucker, and let's say Ricketts is okay, I've heard enough. I've seen enough. We've got to keep him. We got to find a way to keep him. If you're Tucker, do you hear a number that will buy you out of free agency? Like, I'm not asking for a hometown discount. I'm saying, what number do you think he needs to hear, or would he be dumb not to take it into free agency?
I think if he had gotten off to a poor start, it's kind of a moot point then, because the Cubs aren't going to be clamoring to sign him. But I think at this point, you've gone 5+ years already, guys. Like, you've waited. What's the point if you don't have like a huge number like the $500 million that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. got? What's the point of signing at this point? I don't see it happening necessarily, but I feel like it has to start with a 5.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you got a chance if it doesn't.
And then I was texting you about the new rules and everything like that. Does it hurt the Cubs? Because a year from the end of the season, the new collective bargaining agreement will go and no one knows what that's going to look like? Or does it help the Cubs? Because will some of the older contracts be grandfathered in? What does this do going forward with new rules?
Yeah, you're talking about grandfathering as if there's going to be a salary cap. I don't see that happening. I feel like if Major League Baseball's owners are dying on that hill, then the sport is going to die with them.
Oh, God.
Because 2027 there will not be baseball, and it just has a chance to get extraordinarily ugly at that point. But are there going to be different financial parameters in place going forward? Sure. And I think that if you're the Cubs, you just need to acknowledge and understand, guys, that you're one of the haves. You are one of the teams that should be out there spending goo gobs of money to bring the best players in. You're one of the teams that should be taking advantage of your market size and of your historic ballpark and of the neighborhood that you've essentially bought up around it. You're one of the teams that should be throwing around money like you are the large stack at the poker table, and you're going to be bullying the smaller teams, because no other sport, gentlemen, has advantages financially like Major League Baseball does. And the teams that do not take those advantages and maximize them are simply doing a disservice to not just themselves, but their fans as well.
Jeff, in your article, you also wrote about PCA's value. Obviously, the Cubs have control over that situation for quite some time, but do you believe that they will eventually find common ground? And what would that contract look like, in your opinion? What would be something that both sides could actually digest?
I think it's well over 100 at this point, and I think if he, I don't even think he has to continue what he's doing right now. If it's 80% of that, he's still going to be, a 6-win player this year? He's just been so good. And the benefit that he has, guys, is that even if his offense is questionable, his floor is so high because of his defense. And the defense, that's not going to go away. Hitting is really hard. But when you play defense like that, like he does, you're going to be consistent. That doesn't change. That won't change until his legs go, and his legs aren't going for a while now. So the notion of another 10 years of elite center field defense from Crow-Armstrong, I think, is a very realistic thing. And because of that, the Cubs are going to have to pay a lot just to get him to give up those free agent years, because I believe he's set to be a free agent at 28 years old. Guys who are free agents at 28 years old are the ones who have a chance to get those $300, $400, $500 million contracts. And while I don't see 500 in Crow-Armstrong's future, I can certainly foresee a scenario in which he's a $300+ million player.
Wow. Who do you think he is? Who's the best comp, whether it's a current player or a former player you can think of with PCA?
Grady Sizemore.
We know him a little bit here.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of center fielders who have speed and power. I don't think he's ever going to get to Andrew Jones's level in terms of power, but when you're talking about the defense, in PCA's speed is certainly better than Jones. But when you have Gold Glove caliber defense every year and home run power as well, you just don't find a whole lot of center fielders, guys, who are like that.
Let me ask you this one. This is the one, because I think he sort of looks and acts like him at times, but this player was smaller. But once he bulked up and took the alleged juice, he changed with his power profile. Lenny Dykstra.
I think Crow-Armstrong's better than Lenny Dykstra. I think well, first off, it's natural. But second off, he's a much better defender than Lenny Dykstra ever was.
Okay.
Brady Anderson. How about Brady Anderson?
Boy, you just love confidence
Yes.
at steroids.
I love him. Yes, no question. Listen, I'm looking to build the perfect person.
Honestly, Brady Anderson wasn't close to as good defensively as he is either.
Okay.
That's the separator there.
Yeah, his defense.
He is so good out there that it's hard to find the right comp for him, because you need to take all of these elements that he has. He has elite defense. He has elite speed and base stealing capabilities. He has shown not elite power, but plus power. There are just very few guys who are like that. It was always a question of how many of Pete Crow-Armstrong's tools is he going to get to? And this season, thus far at least, he's gotten to every one of them. The only thing missing from his game is plate discipline. And that's not the sort of thing that often blossoms over time, but you'll see situations where guys who struck out a lot early in their careers and didn't walk, suddenly when they become, better hitters, they understand, more confident hitters, they understand, like, hey, you can do a lot more if you take some more pitches and try and limit the swing and miss.
But before we let you go, Jeff, you mentioned pitching, and the Cubs will be in on all the starting pitching, whether it's, I don't know if it's Alcantara or Alcantara in Florida. Besides him, because we've always heard his name, however you pronounce it, who give me another name or two that we should keep our eye on.
It is Alcantara. You had it right the first time. I'm going to give you one where I don't know that they're going to sell, but they're a possibility. Framber Valdez with Houston. He's going to be a free agent after this season. If the Astros fall too far behind, they could be inclined to sell. And then you can look at Toronto, and whether it's Kevin Gausman or Chris Bassett, a couple of veteran guys who have good stuff, put up good numbers, and someone you can rely on in the postseason. Gausman's probably got a little more ceiling. Bassett's a guy who's just so reliable, and you're going to get a good start from him.
All right, best of luck to you, to Daisy, and the entire family.
Yes.
We appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, Jeff.
Gentlemen, the pleasure's always mine. Appreciate you having me.
Jeff, thanks. You're the best.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Jeff.
you.
The timing was exceptional, guys. My kid's getting in the car right
that's
now.
great.
Luke,
Awesome.
Luke, say hi to Waddle and Silvy.
Luke.
Can I sit with Daisy?
You can sit with Daisy.
Yeah.
How are you? Are you taking care of Daisy?
There you go.
Maybe. Maybe.
No,
Daisy.
no, we didn't lose you.
Oh.
We had you. Her tail just hit the mute button.
Oh, that's.
All right, buckle in, child.
All right. See you
All right,
later,
see you
Jeff.
guys.